Hi, it's Herb Stevenson. Welcome back. This is part of a series of many videos on various aspects of the healing den and what we call healing presence. This is a stage and phase development model that I created that puts us between doing and being, and it's an interactive developmental model that's very helpful for anybody in the healing arts. And when I say that, that can be a psychologist, counselor, massage therapist, just whatever is in the healing arts. And the tracking of the process, the evolution of the individual, the practitioner, is what we're going to be interested in here, because it will give you some insights to yourself that might be useful as you develop your practice. So as we go through this, I think you'll find it very helpful. And obviously these videos are available for you at any time, so you can come back and refresh yourself. So thanks for watching. And if you have more interest, it's at the Healing Den, is healing-den.com. And we'll continue on with this model. Thanks much. So the idea of stage and phase is stages move through phases of awareness development. And that'll become clear as I show you the models themselves. But the idea is in this process of development, we're learning to consciously witness ourselves as the practitioner, is what I like to say. We're acknowledging that we have an inner dialogue that might demand perfection, and that it's not you. And it's being aware and then learning to stay grounded in who you are and not what you've been told you are or are supposed to be. Now, in the healing arts, that happens frequently because as we're learning a practice, we're controlled more by our mind of what are the mechanics I'm supposed to be doing, what are all the things I'm supposed to be paying attention to. And the result of that is we end up in a do mode. And that'll become clear as we go a little bit further. But we'll go back and forth as we develop into what I call the do-be interactive model. And I think it'll be useful for you, and if nothing else, it's at least a frame of reference to track yourself. So it is an interactive process of developing more self-awareness, leading to a deeper sense of presence in your practice in the healing arts. And it's an interactive process of the mind where creating more self-awareness of the perceptual creation of reality. What's going on in my mind is meaning-making. As consistent with my internal constructs for safety, survival, success, engagement. Other way of saying it is preventing my own embarrassment. And these are all very powerful forces that the mind is designed to protect us. They're creative adjustments. And so I don't want to sit down and say, well, get rid of your ego or your mind. That is not the case. You actually have to integrate more of who you are into the rules and the ways that you make meaning. And in doing that, you become more fully a being instead of a doer. So both stages and phases interact with the original source of being while experiencing life as a sequential time. And the assumption I have here is that your state of being began the moment you were born. But at that point, that state became more doing because you're now interacting in a chronological, sequential experience in life. So the present moment, the state of being, interacts with all 6 stages simultaneously while each phase expands awareness before moving into the next stage. So it's like your core is solid and stable, but it's expanding as you go through the stages. And we experience sequential time even though it is interacting simultaneously with the present moment. And so another way of saying this is to create experience in our life, we embedded time. But in a state of being, there is only the present moment. But in a state of doing, you have past, present, and the future. And that will become a little bit more clearer, hopefully, as we go through this. So the model is a do-be interactive developmental model. It has 6 stages and 3 stages and 6 phases. And so the way I've done this is stage 1 is unto, stage 2 on behalf, and stage 3 is with. And so without getting into the details of it, it's be unto, do unto, be for on behalf, do with, and be with. And I forgot up at the top, do unto. We start off with do unto. In fact, I changed my mind. Briefly, if I do unto in stage 1, I'm a technique approach to healing, and it's in my initial learning mode. I'm mechanical. I'm trying to follow the rules. Be unto is I begin to overwhelm or consume with energy. I can flood the client with my heart energy because I've gotten more present to myself, so I'm opening my heart, but not really aware of what that does to the client. So as we move past that, we go to a do for, which is on behalf. Traditional healing models, Reiki, etc., expert role, massage therapy also does this, is where I really know what I'm doing and I'm doing it on your behalf. Be on behalf, ceremonial healing with expert leading, because you have to have the ceremonial leader. Do with, I'm beginning to partner. Collaborative healing, beginning to be a healing presence. And the last one is be with, which is I'm a healing presence, being healing space for client to self-heal. And hopefully that will become clearer as we go forward. So do unto is one of the things that I realize that the expert model permeates almost all healing modalities, whether it's modern medicine, as they call it, or as we look at the healing arts. And it's a basic technique approach to healing. Can be mechanical and is guided by inner voices, and the inner voices are the external authority saying these are the rules of the trade of whatever your healing modality is. We're really focused on performance, do it correctly. Oftentimes, we've gotten into this because we want to save something so we can see ourselves as a savior, hero, gifted healer. But generally, we'll have a sense of that I have to grow into being an expert, so I must be the expert. The problem for that is it creates a potential for fear of embarrassment because I may not be receptive to interacting directly with the client, so I might not accept challenge from clients well, just simply because questioning my expertness can feel embarrassing at this stage. But when we be unto, we've now mastered the mechanics and we're consuming or overwhelming clients with open-heartedness or spiritual energy. So for example, in Reiki, some people can generate a tremendous amount of energy, and often the joke is that they're full, so to speak, with energy when you hear the snore that happens frequently as they just tip over to the other side. But the issue for us in the healing presence is it's not present-based. The client and as well as the practitioner can get lost in ungrounded energies with no or little boundaries separating from the client. And it can trigger the client to feel exposed or ungrounded or simply to dissociate because they'll just check out. In a lot of healing modalities, that's considered okay. It's okay to go on vacation and check out. And the difference in healing presence is we want them to stay present. We want them to feel a little discomfort because as you step into your presence in the moment, you will feel the discomfort and it will allow you to start healing yourself. So ungrounded healing modalities can fit here where the idea is I'm going to send you off on vacation. Over the years, many people who know me know that I've done a lot of work with the energies of crystals and stones. And a lot of people, when they use them for vacation. They just take off and they're ungrounded. The problem with that is if you're ungrounded, you can't keep the healing. So I had a pleasant experience, but I didn't change anything. I either shifted something in the past or in the future, but I did not stay in the present moment, which is where all healing happens. So that's one of the things that hopefully become clearer. Do for, on behalf. So the intent shifts to other from myself to the client while retaining expert model of healing. So the healing, whether individual or communal, tends to be rigid and mechanical. It's very specific. If you've ever been into some traditional ceremonies, it is very rigid and specific. Continues a separation of presence as a container and focused on intent to heal to create the container or within the container. More advanced than do unto and be unto. Awareness is beginning to develop, though, because we're now having an intent of a larger energetic field. We're doing it on behalf of the individual or the community when we do this type of healing. So do for is a beginning of a mature process, which leads to a be for. So it's be for or be on behalf. And in this stage, we begin to self-embody healing presence and understanding of creation and sacred space. the tendency does not quite understand healing presence as a state of being, does create strong sacred space, but might get ungrounded or unable to hold the ceremonial sacred space, and can get lost in the feeling of sacred space and try to hold on to it. Which is interesting because what this is saying to us is once we've experienced sacred space, or for those of you who are familiar with liminal space, liminal is going into the space in between, which is where all healing happens, and it can only be done in the present moment. When we separate out all of our thought processes and are just fully present, we're in sacred space, or what they call liminal space. And at that point, we can create healing. So when we're right at that in-between place where we're just beginning to understand sacred space, and we're trying to be for the client or for the group, and not recognizing that it's a we, it's not you and me, it's a we. We are all this being energy, and that comes into the next section. So this we do with, for now saying is, okay, not only was I doing it on your behalf, now I'm going to do it with you, I'm going to engage you. So healing presence developing through joining energies with the client. We start as actively asking them to participate, staying fully present throughout the process. So the client's actively engaged constantly through witnessing and tracking sensations. Surprise emotions might surface for the client and the practitioner. And vast healing practitioners can reach this level as awareness of the healing container is not them, which basically saying is, I'm creating the space, I'm supporting creating the space, I'm holding the space, but I am not the healing space per se, which allows us to begin to actually find our own humbleness and to realize is we are a vehicle that can create the presence, which is contagious by others by our being fully present. And I'll some examples in a minute. So be with is the sixth stage at this point of our model. We're open to the moment as consciously aware of presence. Bare attention as a mere witness to the client. Liminal space can open for client in healing presence. Client presence opens the point of power in the moment for self-healing, dissolving old wounds, stories, and attachments, and moving towards a state of being as client, healer, in essence. So when I point this one out as be with, if you've been in the presence of somebody that you suddenly got very quiet and you had an intimate moment, you're not quite sure what it was. On one side, it feels exciting, and the other side, you might feel a little anxious because you're not sure about it. It can create the fear of fully being seen and not being prepared for it. So being with is literally only holding the essence of that person. And some of the things that we do when, as practitioners in healing presence, is part of the practice is have the client, while we're working with them, make eye contact, and it's continuous eye contact, and it makes them feel vulnerable. But what happens eventually is the fear in their eyes dissolves, and as the fear in their eyes dissolves, they relax into the energy that's surrounding them. A certain level of trust occurs. As they get fully present, their mind gets quiet, and they suddenly have beginning to experience releases. And a release can be a memory of something of the past, and it had a physical release in their cellular body as well. And when that happens, is being with has allowed them, by inviting them into the presence of the moment with the practitioner, to be able to create that experience. So B, which is healing presence, is six then, is we have the conscious awareness. We are a living presence. No mind with clarity awareness of knowing and being. There's just no talk in our heads. There's no need to do, only to be in the moment. And there's not even a need. You just are. And it's a source for all six stages interacting simultaneously as phases of development or holistic energies expanding and integrating in the national movement of being. At this point, you're just existing in that very simple, straightforward moment. So when we go back and look at this, then we see that there's an unto stage, an on behalf stage, and a with stage in these developments. And as we do that, and we get into finally in the center, which is the B stage, it shifts everything, and it looks like this. So it's the same thing Do unto is a technique. Be unto is overwhelm and consume with energy. So we've gotten comfortable enough. We're tapping into our own being. We're not quite sure what to do with it, but this is the heart-centered aspect that begins to open. Do for is on behalf. It's traditional healing models. We're the expert. Be for, which is now moving to the larger community. Do with is partnering with that client, and be with is a healing presence, which leads to all of these are part of the internal aspect of the goal of to be. So as you can see then here, the arrows point out in the be, when I'm fully present, I am reaching out to any of these at any time. It's not saying you don't want to use technique or that you don't want to open your heart. It doesn't say you don't want to do traditional healing or ceremonial healing. It's saying is you where in the moment are trusting that what that client needs and being fully present with you will receive what they need to be able to heal. So hopefully this has been insightful. Please review it multiple times if you would like. You can always communicate with me through thehealingden.com. I'm Herb Stevenson, and I do appreciate your joining me for these small videos. Thank you.